Good evening, council, staff, and members of the public. May I have a mover and seconder to call the meeting to order, please? Deputy Cabral and Councillor Fisher, that the regular meeting of the Council of the Township of Springwater of January 15th, 2025 come to order at 6:30 p.m. All those in favor? And that has carried. At this time, prior to asking us to stand for the O Canada, I would also like to acknowledge that after O Canada, we will have a moment of silence. And as our community has experienced extreme tragedy last evening, we will take a moment of silence to reflect on their loss and their healing. Please join me as you're able. I'll ask us to remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Councilor, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest this evening? And not seeing any, we will turn to question period, and I will turn to the clerk to see if there are any questions submitted for this evening.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. There have been no registrations for question period this evening.
And thank you. And I do believe that we do have questions from the gallery this evening. So at this time, we can ask Mr. Spring to join us at the podium. Thank you, Mr. Spring. And I will just ask you to state your name and address before the question, please.
John Spring, 2438 County Road 92, Elmville, Ontario. Members of the council, I am addressing the resignation of the CAO. I read in Barrie today the positions of the seven-member council. We need to remind ourselves how a business operates. In the case of a municipality, the Municipal Act clearly states that the mayor is the CEO and is supported by council. The executive board helps her as well through resolutions. The CAO sees the directives of the executive board are carried out and oversees the everyday operations. At this moment, we are involved in the most important negotiations that we have ever had. I am referring to Barrie's desire to annex land from Springwater. Our former CAO was involved in strategy meetings that the township was going to follow during these negotiations. If he had left to go to any other city or municipality, I would agree with the members of council that stated they didn't feel a special meeting was needed. However, he's going to Barrie. If he becomes involved with future negotiations on behalf of Barrie, the strategies developed by the council and his input could seriously damage the township's future. Council was elected to protect the best interests of the township. I was concerned when I discovered that the head of council could not see the urgency and made a public statement voicing opposition to the special meeting that was called to discuss the resignation. Another felt that nothing was accomplished, even though the former CAO's affairs, I am assuming, were terminated, an act that required a directive from council. One of the statements that disturbed me the most was a counselor who was more worried about not bothering people in the Christmas break. The counselor obviously seemed to forget about the employees of Springwater who tend to our roads and essential services all through the Christmas season. The resignation, as I understand, was received Thursday, December 19th. There was plenty of time to have an emergency meeting, not during Christmas break. However, there was a failure by the person in charge to recognize the crisis and to act in a timely manner and call this meeting. We as taxpayers owe a debt of gratitude to the members of the council who recognized the urgency and acted on it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Spring. And while council did not agree on a path forward, I think that at this time our municipality is on the right path forward. And I think that we came together. The meeting was set 5 days apart. I think that we are on an excellent path forward. I think that we as a council have appointed the most appropriate, and thank you to both our interim CAO and deputy CAO for accepting those roles. I am confident that we will continue to move forward in the best interests of the municipality. And at this time, if there's any other questions or comments from members of the public. And not seeing any, we can now move on to minutes. May I have a mover and seconder for the approval of our council minutes, please? Councillor Garwood and Councillor Thompson, that the minutes of the council listed here and be approved as presented. 1, minutes of the meeting of the council, December 18th, 2024. 2, minutes of the special meeting of council closed session of December 18th, 2024. 3, minutes of the regular meeting of council, December 18th, 2024. Minutes of special meeting of council of December 27th, 2024. Minutes of the special meeting of council closed session of December 27th, 2024, and minutes of the special meeting of council January 2nd, 2025. Councilor, are there any questions or comments on these minutes? Not seeing any. All those in favor? And that has carried. And may I have a mover and seconder to receive the board and committee minutes? Deputy Cabral, Councillor Moore, that the minutes of the boards and committees and organization listed here and be received for information. And we have one item, the minutes of the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority Board on December 13th, 2024. Any comments or questions on this? Not seeing any. All those in favor? And that has carried. We will now move on to our action reports. We have actions 7.2 through 7.6. Mover and seconder for these, please. Councillors Moore and Thompson. That recommendations contained there and be approved as presented. 7.2 is our OPP lease agreement. 7.3 is the road naming revision. 7.4 is our emergency management program bylaw update. 7.5 is the fire protection grant, and 7.6 is a MOU for the multi-jurisdictional hazardous response team. Councillor, at this time, if there's any items that you wish to pull to have redirected, if not, we can have comment or question on any of the listed herein. Any to be pulled for redirection? Deputy Cabral?
Not to be pulled, just a comment with respect to 7.5.
And comment, Deputy Cabral?
I just wanted to express my gratitude to Chief Kirk and his team for putting the grant together, sending it out and getting this funding to the township. It certainly is helpful to us and our fire services. And also the residents would, obviously appreciate the hand down from other government agencies that are providing these funds. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Councilor, is there any other comments or questions? Not seeing any. All those in favor? And that has carried. Our information reports. May I have a mover and seconder for this, please? Councillor Moore, Councillor Garwood, and we have one information report, and it's that the report listed herein be received for information, and this is an MZO 2024-002 Sunnydale OP 731 Sunnydale Road. And at this time, I can open it up for any comments or questions on this. Not seeing any, as this is simply moving forward for public consultation. We will have an opportunity to deal with this at a later date. So not seeing anything at this time. All those in favor? And that has carried. We will now move on to our verbal reports, and with no development update, I will turn to Deputy Cabral to turn it back over to me. Oh, we'll go right back to me. In conversation with Deputy Cabral, the most recent meeting of County of Simcoe Council really focused on a reconsideration. In the last year, County Council voted to remain at a 32-membered council with the addition of a full-time dedicated warden. In our last meeting of 2024, it was brought forward by a member municipality to have us reconsider that. Part of that reconsideration was the wage increase for members of council, which ignited us to take a second look at we get the words compensation and that confused, but it was reconsidered and county council is now moving to 17 members. It will be cutting county council from 32 to 16 and placing a full-time warden at the head. That vote came down to a 16-16 tie with the weighted vote coming into place, which placed it into the affirmative. So now we will be moving towards our 2/3 majority, which will require each lower tier to vote on that. So this council, this body will have a say with our members, our municipality and our residents as to whether we support a 17 body council moving forward, or if we wish to remain at the 32. Of note, it was brought up by Deputy Morris, who noted that when the County of Simcoe became the County of Simcoe, it was one member from each of the 28 municipalities, then coming 32 municipalities. And it wasn't until the late 1900s, 1996-ish, 93, 100 years later, that it moved from one member to two. So it's not that we are cutting something in half. We are simply going back to the original mandate of the County of Simcoe. So this council will have an opportunity to address that at a later date, but that was the third time in our term and the probably fifth time in the last 10 years, 20 years that the County of Simcoe has entertained that. And I am very pleased that Deputy Cabral and I were able to help move that along. I think that it is responsible to our taxpayers that we move down to a 17 council, and this council will have an opportunity to deliberate that at a different date. So that was about it, other than a $475,000 loader that we bought. That's about it from county on Tuesday. So any other updates or questions, Councillor Alexander?
Thank you, Mayor Coggan. So very happy that, at least it's back on the table for reconsideration. I think it's important. Thank you both for supporting it. I do just have a question in general, because I haven't really ever understood. So if we, regardless of which way we move, it sounds like the warden position will become a full-time position. Is that an elected position still? And how, I just don't understand the logistics of that. So
as it's being presented, so county council was deliberating anything that required a 2/3 majority. So I'll preference that in. There is much outside of this that would still have to be determined. There are committees, there's a lot that has to come into that, but what county council was being asked to decide on Tuesday was anything that required a 2/3 majority, which is if we change the composition of county council. The bylaw that's being presented to our council is the warden would be an additional position and it would be appointed. So there will not be an election at large for a warden's position. The body of the House, so the 16 members, one from each municipality, will be then appointing, like Muskoka, like Durham, a head of council. So it will not be by an at-large election. It would be an appointment. So there will not be a county election. It would be appointment for the position of warden. And I will ask anything further?
Nope, the only other piece there is, although it is an appointment, it's open to any elector within Simcoe County who is eligible to cast a vote in an election. They would be able to also put in for the position. And based on what their qualifications might be, they could very well end up being the warden. But the warden will be appointed from that pool from within the 16-member house. So it's not someone from the council once again.
Yes, so and further to that, so different, right now it's a mayor or deputy elected. It would not be that. It would be someone outside of the electoral pool of municipal delegates. Also, the warden as appointed would then carry the weight. So each sitting person of that 16 carries a weight based on their population. That warden would then have a vote, be the 17th vote, and the weight associated to that warden would be that of the least of the population. So not to call Tay out on anything, but similar to what Tay would have in that. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. It's a big change, but I think that there was some relief that this conversation has come to the table numerous times, and it's the right step forward, in my opinion. And I think I'm happy that it is now being passed to the lower tier municipalities to have a really good look at this. So Deputy Cabral?
I think part of the process too was to enable residents and Simcoe County residents as a whole, and each municipality's residents to actually have a say in this going forward, in reaching out to council members, giving their thoughts, participating in the public meetings, and then see where it takes us from there.
And thank you for that. And I think last term, the vote came down to 17-15, was defeated by 1. So it didn't get to the public by 1 vote. And this time, even though it's only 1 more vote, 16-16 tie, at least now our public's going to have the opportunity to have input into what they feel their county needs to be. Councillor Fisher?
I just actually wanted to thank our mayor and deputy mayor for representing us in county council. I watched some of it, and I can tell you this issue. A lot of people in my community who I talked to recently, they didn't like this. They felt that there was a lot of self-preservation and not representation. So I think this is democracy at work, frankly. To the deputy mayor's point, it's coming back to us for our constituents now to speak through us. I think a lot of people really felt they didn't agree with it, but they felt disconnected. They were talking to myself or other council members I know about it, but it really felt like it's off limits, like they couldn't enact change with it. So I think this says to the public that frankly, yes, you can raise a voice and have representatives bring it up and have it come back to us. So I think it's really excellent. And like I say, it's true representation at work. So thank you.
The date for the county's open house or public consultation will be made available, but I think it's extremely important that when this does come to our agenda, that we make sure that we have full notice and as loud as we possibly can, so that we do have a lot of people during question period voicing their opinion to us. So if there's nothing further on that, we can move forward to municipal updates. Councillor Thompson?
The 53rd annual Menacing Minifest is only a few weeks away. It will be February 7th and 8th. This popular event includes something for everyone. Friday night euchre tournament, Saturday morning pancake breakfast, Citizen of the Year awards, a parade at noon with Swampy, kids entertainment and a cook-off in the afternoon, and it ends with a disco-themed dance Saturday evening. And all events will be at the Menacing Community Center, and all are invited to come and attend in their disco attire. Staying with Menacing, the Menacing rink is open. Anton Mills Ice Rink is scheduled to open this Saturday. Would like to offer a thanks to all the volunteers who have been working tirelessly to make ice, and we hope that Mother Nature will continue to cooperate this year. Council members, in your press release this past Friday may have saw the one about the Springwater Public Library that we're opening Monday morning, starting Monday, January 27th. We had a board meeting last night, and the board wanted me to come and thank all council members for their support in adding these new important hours. So thank you.
Councillor Alexander?
Thank you, Mayor Coglan. So building off Councillor Thompson, number 1, will you be sporting some nice bell bottoms for the disco affair? Because I might come out to see that. Further to that, no, both Hillsdale and Phelpston rinks are now also open. Again, huge thank you to the volunteers. Anybody who has been a part of this knows the countless hours it takes to shovel snow, get a hose out. It's just an incredible amount of hours. So I cannot thank the volunteers that make this happen enough. Both rinks, every time I've gone by them, there are a ton of kids out there skating, playing hockey, enjoying themselves. And it's such a wonderful part of our community. So big thank you to all of the volunteers. And on one other note, I have heard from numerous people in Phelpston that volunteer how excited they are for the, at some point coming, new roof.
Counselor Garwood?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. On the theme of rinks opening across our municipality, the Homer Barrett Park outdoor rink in Elmville is now open. Again, similar sentiments in regards to wanting to thank the volunteers. A week ago, there was a call out online to have folks come by the rink and support, and almost 25 folks showed up within a couple minutes of notice to clear off the rink and help get it ready. So it's pretty special to have that across our township. The Elmville Community Recreation Association is once again hosting Family Fun Fest on Family Day, so February the 17th. It'll run from 10 to 1 o'clock, and it'll be right before the family skate that the ECRA is also sponsoring that same day at the Elmville Arena. The ECRA has a busy weekend that weekend. We'll be hosting a event on Valentine's Day, the 14th. It's called Lovin' in a Small Town, and it's going to be live music featuring Graham Scott Fleming, which is a very popular local talent in our municipality. So the fundraiser is intended to, again, raise funds for the CRA to then fund all activities throughout the next year in the community of Elmville. And I wanted to say this, and I think this sentiment and this statement probably goes for all of us here, wanting to thank the folks that have put so much effort into snow removal and clearing over the past few weeks. Understanding the significant weather that has occurred across the township has been challenging for everybody, and I wanted to specifically thank our staff for everything that they've done to keep our municipality safe.
Counselor Fisher?
Everyone got to talk about their rink before me, so I feel like I got to chime in. But no, this year actually we've had a much better year than last year, so the ice has been really excellent. I think that's across the board. But I actually wanted to thank people in the community as well, because I think the I'll call it rink etiquette, but I've noticed this year the amount of clearing, clearing off prior to the volunteers coming, in past years, the volunteers showed up and did it. The community that's using the rink is really taking ownership of it. And I can tell you, as a volunteer, as an ice flutter, I frequently show up and even people who are still skating help the volunteers to clean up the ice. So I think that's really excellent. Even cleanliness of the entire facility and respect for the facility, I think, is really on the rise. It's notable. So I really encourage people in the community to go out and use it. But also, too, the rules are posted there. So if you're playing hockey and it's public skate time, that's fine. You just have to stop, right? But we've had a great year for it, and it looks like we have some cold weather coming, so we should be able to build that ice up again. So yeah.
Not seeing anything further. At this time, we can move on to our notices of motion, and we do have a notice of motion from Counselor Garwood. And at this time, I'm looking for a seconder, please. Counselor Thompson, and I will turn it over to Counselor Garwood.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Whereas the Township of Springwater experiences significant snowfall during the winter months, which requires efficient and accessible snow removal at private residences, and whereas residents, particularly seniors and individuals with disabilities, may face challenges in managing snow removal independently due to financial constraints. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Council directs staff to report back on a potential option for a snow removal assistance program for residents.
Okay, and before turning to members of council, I will go to Counselor Garwood for elaboration.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Yes, so at this moment in time, this came forward to me actually by two residents, one in my ward and one outside. And the primary focus significantly has been across Ontario. There's been many municipalities that have implemented projects or programs of their own. Some vary from minor support to, again, some more greater. East Gwillimbury, the city of Brampton, the town of Caledon, Mississauga, the town of Wasaga Beach specifically, our neighbor up in Elmville there, all have similar style programs in which there is a variety of funding accessible, often from events like golf tournaments and charity funding available to the residents. There is a application of sorts, a upset dollar limit associated, and obviously proof of information, whether that might be, again, those that might identify with a disability, low-income seniors, etc. The purpose of these programs significantly aren't to have the municipality take on any additional snow removal. It is, again, private in nature, but the funding is available. So Wasaga Beach actually recently had their program featured on CTV News in Barrie, speaking to the fact that it's become a very popular program. I believe it's new for them, and they're just rolling it out as well. But that's not the only option here, and that's why I've kept the notice of motion pretty open-ended right now for information to come back to council for further deliberation and discussion. There are other programs, like Tiny Township has the Snow Angels program, which is, again, not a cost to the municipality, but more a resource sharing of information. That program operates across Canada and across the province, and municipalities support those efforts. So those are just two examples. I've seen other municipalities have other potential options and programs that are available for those that might not be able to physically get out and take care of the snow in their driveway and their properties. So it is something that has been brought forward to me again by a couple folks. So I had mentioned that I would bring forward and advocate, and hopefully council will support the discussion for more information to come back for there to be a future decision. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councilor, is there any comments or questions on this? Councilor Fisher?
Yes, I'm just trying to, and you said you left it quite open, but I'm trying to figure out exactly what we're looking for. Is it an outside organization that would do this, that we're just supporting and there's no financial support? Or are we looking for financial support from the municipality? I understand you've left it vague, but as a result, it's a bit vague.
Councilor Garwood?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin, through to Councillor Fisher. Yes, it is vague for a reason, and that reason is so there is option for this council to discuss and potentially decide upon in the future. Again, I've just outlined two potential pathways that other municipalities, some in the area, our direct neighbors actually utilize. One option is, yes, there is a financial burden on the municipality in regards to staff resources and a physical financial contribution. Again, like I've said, some utilize funds from golf tournament funds and whatnot, not necessarily taxation. And then others are external groups that are volunteer-led and organized that the municipality can assist in providing the information and resources to our residents, but there's no cost to the municipality. So that's why I wanted council to be able to have a variety of options for a future discussion.
Thank you for that. Councilor Alexander?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. So, well, I appreciate the further information on it. And the fact that other municipalities do that, I do understand it. However, from my perspective, I feel like this is, in my opinion, out of scope from a municipality work. I feel like sometimes us going down this path where we get our hands in stuff that really isn't in our scope of work. This is one of those things. I feel like, I obviously understand that there are people that, need this support, but I feel like there are a lot of service groups and organizations out there that can organize this for them. So unfortunately, it's not something I can support because no matter what the staff report came back with, I don't think it would be something I would support because, as I said, I feel like it's out of scope versus for our.
Thank you for that. And before I go back to Councilor Garwood and Councilor Fisher, I'm very interested to know about the Snow Angels. That is something that it's a volunteer deployment that has been successful in many municipalities across the county. I'd just be interested to know how we can better promote that locally here. I think it was made evident to us during our significant weather event recently that there are lots of kids locally who are excited to get shovels and feel contribution when they go out and they clear those driveways for other people. And we saw that across all of our communities, kids grabbing shovels and helping. And if we can help organize that in a way that could give our youth a sense of community investment and belonging and our seniors some relief, that is something I'm completely open to. Again, having a portion of the report stipulate a third party contract and whatnot, I would be open to it, but I think that as we've just talked about our community rates, I think I'm going to say this out loud, but don't hold me to it. I don't know another municipality that has 11 to 13 outdoor rinks that are solely run by volunteers, supported by staff, but there is a sense of, I think in Springwater, there's a sense of volunteerism that is generational. And I think that we have an opportunity to, whether it's through the Snow Angels, to bring that together. That is the avenue that I would like to proceed with. Myself anyway. I had Councillor Fisher's hand, Councillor Moore, and back to Councillor Garwood.
If it's something where we can engage these Snow Angels, I think that's a great possibility for volunteers. But any cost that we pushed onto the taxpayer, anytime we're solving the problems of a few with the tax dollars of many, I think we need to really look at the cost analysis of this. And I really believe that's, as councillors, sometimes when people bring these things forward, sometimes we have to manage the expectations of the public as well, because I think bringing forward a motion like this, I'll say it, I just don't think it's well thought out. I think that, like I say, anytime we're paying for something like this with taxpayers' dollars, we need to really look at the scope of the ask. Springwater's a large place. If we're to shovel the walkways for every senior, that will be very costly, almost impossible for us. I also have to say, Councillor Garwood, and I'm not attacking you when I say this, but I do have to say it wasn't long ago that I brought forward snow removal for Old Second Road, something that a lawyer came forward and said that we had obligations to do to some degree. This is something I don't think we are obligated to do, but you're asking to take staff's time, right, to do an analysis of it, and then potentially spend taxpayers' money to do it. So a bit conflicting, I guess, is what I'd say when I take a look at your voting record from that side to this side. Not to pick on it, but I just have to say.
And before I allow this table to get back and forth on a completely separate issue, I think that the initiative is not, the way that I read it, is not about utilizing taxpayers' dollars in an irresponsible way. I think that it was brought to the attention. I think that it's simply asking for a report on existing programs that are already in place across other municipalities, not for debate on whether we fully support it or don't support it today. This council has said numerous times we like to make decisions based on information, and this is asking for information going forward. I have Councillor Moore, Garwood, and Thompson.
Just a quick contribution that quickly looking at 211 Ontario, which offers our local resources for just about everything under the sun. Snow Angels Canada has a website and an online tool. You can sign on there. You can register for volunteers, for those that are looking for snow removal assistance. There is a pool of people there that you can draw from. Archangel at snowangelscanada.ca, and you can get everything you need there and find somebody to help you too at no charge.
Excellent. And hopefully the report will just simply find a way for us to help our residents learn about that, because that information seems to be readily available and beneficial to many people. Councillors Garwood and then Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Colvin, and thanks to council for the various comments. I've tried to summarize them, so I'll try to get back to each of them. In regards to the scope, there is precedent. There is significant precedent across this province in regards to neighboring municipalities. And of course, we don't have to follow suit with everything our neighbors do, but This is not a groundbreaking idea. This is not anything that we even need to move forward with. We're not deciding tonight whether or not it's a good idea to have a financial assistance program or a volunteer program, seeking options and providing them. I brought motions forward this term, and I have been told no by this council because there's not enough information provided. So this provides council with that information. And yes, of course, every staff report that we send back to staff is going to cost staff time and resources. Of course, we do that often at this table. Second, in regards to shoveling walkways and whatnot, and I'm not going to get into the specific comments, Councillor Fisher, but this notice of motion is not intended to put any additional burden on our existing public works staff. This is not us going out and shoveling a sidewalk or the end of a driveway because somebody can't do so. This is deriving from, and this is not even deriving from the most recent snowfall. Actually, this was brought to me before the holiday season. And of course, just because a resident brings something forward doesn't mean we have to advocate for it. But when a member believes in something, that's why it's on the agenda, and that's why I'm advocating for it today. Now, again, I'm not going to get into all of the details. It's in the motion in regards to the options that are potentially available, and there's probably options that we don't even know exist out there, and our staff can bring that information back to us to be able to support those residents. So again, this is not intended to be a significant burden on taxpayer dollars. This is intended to be a discussion in regards to how we can additionally help those that need the help the most. I'm not referencing the fact that I could apply for the potential program that would be here. Many of the municipalities that have programs have a limit of 50 to 75 with a $100 or $200 limit on it for those that are financially supporting. Again, yes, that is still dollars that are being utilized, but often they're fundraised dollars that have been used or that have been raised. At the end of the day, this motion is not intended to be a discussion in regards to an additional level of service that we provide our community. I believe we already do a great job, but it's for those that might not be able to support themselves in a way, especially during these significant weather events like we've just had one. So my hope was that we could show our community that we are listening and potentially there's some support, whether it be a volunteerization and additional resources or a financial contribution, that would be decided at a later date. But thank you for the comments.
Councillor Fisher.
So I apologize, Councillor Garrett. I still don't fully understand what you're asking for. So whether our staff are associated with it or whether we're farming out, I'm sorry, I just can't really grasp it. One thing I will say, I think within just a moment, we could see that this Snow Angels organization is available. Could we not just communicate that through our sources of communication to our public, saying that this is available to you? Wouldn't that suffice before we use staff's time and potentially come up with options, discuss those options? I think this is a readily available option that could be communicated to the public. Would that not suffice?
Yeah, I'm just gonna interject in a back and forth here. I think that the report that would come back to us would include Snow Angels. It was suggested numerous times, and I'm getting some head nods over there. I think that would be a viable option for us, which would allow us to move forward in supporting and continuing to advocate for such organization, but still seeking the information Councillor Garwood is looking for. So if there's nothing further from members that have not had, Deputy Cabral.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. I'm looking at the structure demographics of Springwater Township, and I don't envision any assistance really being provided to our rural residents that would fit this category. We're talking about a limit in fundraising. How do you establish a limit for the number of people that might apply for financial assistance? I mean, Councillor Moore actually did a bit of research, and 201 provides this. I don't need a report to tell me that we might be able to publicize this through our own social media, that we might be able to put it up on our digital sign right there in Elmvale. And you know, to be quite honest with you, I don't think council needs to direct staff to actually do that. I think that's the kind of thing, like, if United Way was doing a fundraiser or something, I think staff might be able to probably promote that all on their own. I don't need a report to do that for me. So as far as I'm concerned, I think staff's well in place to promote the Snow Angel service and the 211 number. It's already in place. I mean, we don't have to reinvent the wheel to do that. I do have a difficulty with a financial aspect of it. And that's because you cannot determine how many people would be able to apply for this. And I don't think that you could count on a fundraiser to cover that. We have 20,000 people in Springwater Township, roughly 13 or 14,000 residences, if I recall correctly. A number of our residents are in rural areas that are seniors. I'm a senior myself. My driveway is 267 feet long. I didn't plan it that way, but that's how long it is. And I'm not looking for anybody to come and help me move my snow, even though at some point in time I won't be able to do that. I'll make the decision on how I deal with that myself at that time. But Snow Angels are here. Staff's in a position to promote it. I don't think it's our job to direct staff to do that. I think we can merely suggest to them it's a good idea.
I'll return to Councillor Garwood for final comment, and then I will call the vote.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin, and thank you to the Deputy Mayor for his comments. Again, respectfully, Council, the conversation we're having tonight would be in a report. All of these questions and these concerns could have been answered by reading a 1 or 2 page piece of information provided. In just a few hours, I gathered a significant amount of information. And to be exact, Deputy Mayor Cabral, every municipality has set a limit as to a number of applications that can be provided. East Gwillimbury allows for 150. I could keep going down the list here, and they all have a different dollar amount. Some are different than others. Again, would be in the report. The intention of this evening's conversation is not to hash this all out here at the council table. But again, I can see where things are moving here with this motion. In addition, if the municipalities that have gone in the direction of a financial assistance program, like Wasaga Beach, for instance, Wasaga Beach clearly states they are not intended in getting involved in private snow removal. They are providing a grant, dependent upon the number, again, anywhere from $100 to $400, some municipalities. And that is to be utilized, and receipts would be provided towards private snow removal. So whether your driveway is 1 kilometer long or it's 10 feet long, you utilize that how you choose in regards to the snow removal. Again, there are stipulations. Many municipalities aim it towards low-income seniors and those with disabilities. So there are a variety of options that could be discussed. So I appreciate respectfully the comments that have been made around the table tonight. I disagree with most of them. This is something that I have heard of importance from the community. I believe in it, and that is why it's on the agenda. So thank you.
And council, at this time, the motion has been moved and seconded, and I believe all members of council have an opportunity to speak to it. At this time, I will be calling the vote. So council, all those in favor of the notice of motion and those opposed. And the notice of motion has failed. And are there any other notices of motion this evening, council? Any items for future consideration? May I have a mover and seconder for the bylaws, please? Councillor Moore and Councillor Fisher. That bylaws listed here and be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. 2025-004, appointment of the interim CAO. 2025-005, appointment of the interim deputy CAO. 2025-006, 2025 interim tax levy bylaw. 2025-007, temporary borrowing bylaw. 2025-008 MOU hazmat team, 2025-009 emergency management program and plan, 401 LH 2024-003, and that's 2204 South Lower Lake Road. Are there any questions or comments on these bylaws? Not seeing any. Before I do move to the confirmation bylaws, actually, all those in favor, that's an important part of that. Now I can thank you, now that it's official, all those in favor. So I just would like to take a moment to thank both our interim CAO and our interim deputy CAO very much for stepping up and stepping in, and to the teams that you lead for also stepping up in the capacity that you will be moving into different roles and therefore having, I don't call them voice because I would suggest a service delivery level, but thank you to you and your entire teams for stepping in and stepping up to make sure that we in Springwater as a council have time to ensure that the person that we put in to lead us into the next however many years is the right person and the right fit. And with you both in that position, it's a bit of a breath. It's a bit of a breath. So thank you very much for that. And not to bring up snow removal again or Chief Kirk over there, I just wanted to acknowledge that if there are any kids with any shovels and some time on their hands, we have some fire hydrants across the municipality that if you would love to give us a hand and help us out, clearing a path to our fire hydrants is a great way to do it. And I'm sure if Chief Kirk, if you wanted. No, all right. So I don't know what else there is to add to that, but your team has done a great job on social media and in with our communications team. And I just wanted to echo that, yes, it's Canada and it's winter and there's snow. And anything we can do in our communities to help each other out, it's much appreciated. So we will now move on to a mover and seconder for a confirmation bylaw, please. I have Councillor Moore and Councillor Thompson, the bylaw 2025-010 to confirm and adopt the proceedings of council at the regular meeting held on January 15th, 2025, listed herein, be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. All those in favor? That has carried. And a mover and seconder to adjourn, please. I have Councillor Garwood and Deputy Cabral. That the regular meeting of the Township of Springwater does now adjourn at 7:18 p.m. to meet again on regular session on February 5th, 2025 at 6:30. All those in favor? And that has carried. Thank you.